Now the question arises when to use spin lock and when to use semaphore. Okay, so spin lock, as we discussed, like in case of spin lock we only go for busy waiting instead of going for sleep. And in during an interrupt handler we are not allowed to call any call which can lead our process to sleep. So that is why whenever you are in interrupt handler and you need to acquire some lock, so it is always advisable to use spin lock, because spin lock will be providing the busy waiting instead of sleeping of the process which is waiting for the lock. And the next second consideration is, if you being a device driver developer or being a kernel developer, if you are sure that the waiting for lock will not be that much actually, so you are very sure like within few milliseconds even the lock is not available, it will be available to you because it will be released by other process in a short period of time actually. So when you have that surety, so at that time it is always recommended to use spin lock. The reason being is, instead of spin lock if you will use semaphore in this case, so what will happen is like uh, what will happen is context switching overhead will be high because your process will go for sleep, and then because loading lock waiting period is so short, again it has to wake up for acquiring the lock, so that sleeping and waking up will cause extra overhead on our system, so which will basically reduce the performance of the system. So if you are damn sure about like the lock waiting period will be so short, then it is always advisable to use the spin lock to avoid the context switching overhead on our system. Now talk about semaphore. So when you understand like if the lock is acquired, then after that the process is going to hold this lock for quite some time actually. Okay, then it is suggested to use semaphore in that case, because if you will use spin lock in that case, what will happen is, because now the process who has acquired the lock, that is going to use this lock for quite some time or quite long time actually, until the time lock is not available. In case of spin lock, the waiting process has to keep on busy looping on the processor, which will again reduce the performance of the system, because busy waiting will cause unnecessary CPU cycle wastage on the on our processor actually. So that will also lead to the underutilizations of our resources. Okay, so if you are sure that holding lock time is long, so it is always advisable to use semaphore. Okay, and to conclude it again, if you feel lock waiting period is short, go for spin lock. If you feel holding lock time is long, go for semaphore.